My name is Rosanna Pelton. I'm the owner and CEO of ROSAPEL Virtual Assistants. I have so far one team member, and I have a background of about 40 years. Then executive assistant, then office manager. Then my last position, I was an operations manager. Absolutely hated it. Decided that, I was happiest when I did my admin work. That's where I shine. That's what I like doing. I like being the right-hand person to the people I work for. But I did not want to work in corporate anymore. I had had enough of corporate. I had tried every field I could think of, from lawyers, actuaries, engineers, nonprofits, education system. So I kind of, I'd get bored of one field, we'd try another and move around. But when you're an admin assistant, the work is the same no matter who you work for. It is just learning what they do, how they work best. And for me, I was trained that, as an executive assistant, admin assistant, legal assistant, whatever you're going to be when you're finished, we are malleable. It's us that changes for the people that we report to. And that's very important, that you're able to change and able to figure out what works best for them. Because in the long run, if it doesn't work for them, there's no reason for you, right? So we have to be malleable. We have to figure out who the people are that we're going to be working for and how best that we could serve them. Most of us get into this field because we like taking care of people. We like organizing things. We love that kind of stuff. That's what drives me, organizing. I'm organize everything. It drives my husband nuts. But looking for unique ways to make sure your bosses don't forget things. It's like, here, you need to bring this home. I was one boss, he'd forget no matter what I did. I started rolling up pieces of paper and stuffing them in the arms of his coat so that when he would put it on, it would be right there, right? Yeah, you have to think outside of the box sometimes, and that's what we did. But starting my own virtual assistant business, I definitely was scary. Going from being in-house to being totally on your own and not having an IT department and stuff like that. What did help me is a few of the companies I worked for, we had offices all over the place. Our main office was in the UK, but our IT department was in Australia, and I took care of offices in the States and across Canada. Our team for occupational health and safety, again, was in a different part of the UK. So that really actually helped me know how to work virtually, because in a sense, I was already working virtually. I had to work on different timelines in order, to communicate with them. And yeah, it was very interesting doing that. So making this step was a little bit easier. I do have an IT department. I pay for it, but it is a local company. When I got my last system, which right now I'm looking at my laptop, but to the left I have 3 very large screens. I always have a lot on the go, and I'm moving things around, and I really needed to be equipped so that, if one client has an emergency, I can just slide one person's work over to one screen and, do what I needed on the other. So I went through an IT person to actually set me up properly. And here's this nice button right in the middle of my screen that if I have any issues, all I do is hit that button. And I write them, and they contact me usually very quickly, depending on what my issue is. If it's not important, I tell them it's not important, but if it is urgent, they're at me right away. So that's very handy. They have the updated, most recent malware, spyware, whatever you call all that stuff. IT is not my department at all.
All the
That's
wares.
why I have an IT
Not good stuff.
Yeah.
But they have it. I never worry about leaving documents open or anything. They have a big a big plug-in thing so that if I lose my power, which I do a lot living right next to the harbor here in Halifax, this thing keeps everything going long enough so that I can close things properly, save things, whatever I need to do, and it doesn't mess up my computer. So there is a, you work, if you do decide to go on your own, you don't actually have to be on your own that way. The other thing that I did when I went out on my own was I hired a bookkeeper accountant right away, which is great. If you're going to be starting a business, one of the things you should do is know what you need to do. What do you need for claiming your taxes? What kind of information? So he sends all that stuff out every year. I work with him virtually as well. He goes to a lot of his clients' homes, and I said, oh, you don't need to come to mine. I'll just scan it all and send it to you. So that's what I do. I'm never without my receipts or anything. I just send it all. We communicate wonderfully by email, and I don't have that stress. So between the IT and the bookkeeping, those were my two main stressors about going out on my own. And every person's going to be different. So if you are planning on going out on your own as a virtual assistant and starting a home-based business, you need to figure out where your weaknesses are right away. And those are the first people you bring on. Because starting your business is going to be scary enough without having to deal with the stuff that you absolutely hate or cannot do, which in my case was both of them. I hated them and I could not do them. If you plan on going to work for people and you want to be a virtual assistant, I've been actually seeing jobs advertised. I'm part of a virtual assistant organization called CAVA, Canadian Association of Virtual Assistants. And on there we get requests for proposals that come through her business, and they're only for members. Every once in a while, I go take a look at them and see what's going on in there. And she also gives courses on how to apply to an RFP, how to do it. But I did just recently see one that they're actually looking for an employee coming through that way. So it's starting to open up. People are, a lot of people started their own businesses during COVID. A lot of people didn't have any choice in starting home-based businesses, but a lot of people are used to being in an office, and one of the things they're used to is having an assistant. It's very hard for them to live without an assistant, but sometimes they can't see the forest through all the trees, right? It's so overwhelming for them, and especially if they haven't figured out yet that they need to offload the stuff that they absolutely hate at first, they're going to be even more stressed. So what you have to do is you have to figure out what are their pain points. Is it organizing? Is it their calendar? Are they getting too much emails? Do they not have a clue how to prepare documents in Word or how to do Excel spreadsheets? Do they need invoices set up? Do they need somebody to be monitoring their calendar? You got to find out for each person what it is, and as well what field. Judy's already pretty sure she knows what field she's going to go in, so she's just going to have to figure out, how am I going to market to those people? One of the ways I suggest is doing up a really lovely letter, introducing yourself, and then scanning all of your potential clients on LinkedIn and sending them a nice little introduction about how you can help them. And when people want to hear about us, they don't really want to hear about us. What they want to hear is how us can help them and what us can do for them, right? So, it's kind of like, hi, my name's Rosanna. I'm a virtual assistant. I have this many years experience, and because of that, I can do this, 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 and this for you. That's what they want. Clean, sweet, and it took me a while to learn that one.
Me too. Keeping it to the point. It's tough. You want to get all flowery with your language and everything, and they're like, stop. And you're like, I'm sorry.
One of the things that's not what they want. I've had to tone my stuff down, as Megan's probably seen some of my stuff, like, okay, I guess that's not the way you talk.
No, and one of the things I've done since I've been an entrepreneur, I don't know what provinces you guys are on, but I'm in Nova Scotia, and here we have so many entrepreneurs. We have many more entrepreneurs than we do actual, like, real businesses, especially bigger businesses. We don't have a lot of them. So they provide a lot of learning for entrepreneurs, like social media courses, bookkeeping courses, just different things that you can take, because as an owner of your own business, you really need to know a lot of this stuff. Whether you're going to do it for yourself or not, you should at least take some sort of course to teach you it, so that you know how to monitor the people that you're going to subcontract or hire or work with, to learn their language, to understand what they're saying to you. Because we have all these courses, I've actually been able to take some kind of unique courses, and they're courses that, I thought, well, it won't hurt to take them. Personality dimensions. That was an amazing course. I thought it would just be all fluff, which I guess it is kind of, but it teaches you the 4 major types of personalities, like the number D. And there's a lot of these different dimensions. So they have them, either by colors or by letters. But like, for example, the one I did was the letter D. That is for somebody who's very direct. They go into a store, they've done their research, they know what they want. They go in, it's like, show me your 3 best blah, blah, blahs. Well, that's all they want. Show them those 3 things. They're going to pick the one they want. They're going to buy. They don't want you going, oh, but we could do this for you and that for you and this for you. If you start doing that, like me, I'm a social person. I think I was an S and a C, a kind of a combination, which meant that I like to chit chat, right? You might have noticed. But so to me, it's customer service at its best. Find out about them. How can I help you? Well, that doesn't work with these at all. In fact, if anything, I chase them right away. They're just like, oh, I can't deal with her. She talks too much. Gotta go. So, but if you've got somebody, if you're a D and you just want to get to the point, but you've got a client that could be like me, well, you've got to learn how to go, hi, how are you today? Just say a couple of words and then move into your point. And I personally have learned how to do it the opposite way, just to say, hi, hope you're having a great day. And here's the work. So I have trained myself to do that. If they want to chit chat, I will chit chat a bit, but I try to keep it as professional as I can and as straight to the point as I can. There's a lot of systems as well for when you're going to go on your own. One of the things that, and is everyone here planning on going on their own, or somebody here, anyone here?
I decided, no, I want to only work for a company. I don't want this. No, I've chosen not to. I just want to work for a company.
Okay, so that's good. So you can still do things like the Canadian Association for Virtual Assistants, because they do have some jobs that they advertise on there. Because
does it cost to be a member of them?
Yeah, it's like 100, 150 a year, something like that. It's quite reasonable because you belong to a community and you can ask a lot of questions, and she does a lot of free workshops. And even if you're going to work for a company, it's best to be able to still know your stuff and to know what you can bring to them. It's, what, the only difference between running your own company and working for a company is I have a lot more bosses. Each one of my clients, every one of them are my boss, and there's no denying that. I just prefer to be able to pick my bosses or tell my bosses, I'm sorry, I don't have any time available for you this week. And, and I have done that to people that I just don't like working with. So, that's the only real difference. When you are working for somebody, it's a lot different. And I know there's a lot of kind of figuring out where people are going to go. Are we going to be bringing everyone back into an office? Are we going to be working virtual? I believe, from what I've been hearing and what I've been watching and listening, that it's going to be hybrid. And some of them are going to want to in many different ways. Some offices I've heard are, okay, we'll alternate. You'll come in Monday, you'll come in Tuesday. You can work from home Wednesday and Thursday and stuff like that. I don't know if that's going to be the new norm, or they're going to just say, okay, you only want to work from home. Okay, that's great. We'll have so many of these positions where people get to work virtually. And then there's other people that cannot stand working from home and really need to be in an office. So, they might be doing it that way. For the smaller businesses, I think a lot of them realize that they really don't need to rent space, and it is a lot more efficient for them to just hire virtual assistants rather than, having an office and bringing somebody in person. There's also been a lot of stuff that has went around. There's always those bosses that don't think you're doing your work. If they can't see you, they're pounding away, then you obviously can't be working, right? They've done a lot of research into that lately, and I've been reading a lot of this and found out that actually they were so wrong. People get more work done at home because you have less of the people stopping by your desk to chit chat or going to the water cooler and chit chatting and, all that social stuff that takes place within an office. You don't really have that anymore. You have it in a different way. Some bigger companies have the intranets, so you can just talk to your staff. Myself, having been an in-person assistant, and when computers came out, oh God, I just loved computers and all these different things. And I loved working with younger people than me because they taught me so much. So, I mean, with Messenger and everything else, you could be chatting with people all day long. So, but not interfering with your work because you don't actually have to talk to them. You just text back and forth. So there are ways to make sure that you don't get lonely working from home. I'm not sure how you find the virtual jobs, but I do know that you don't have to stay in your own city or your own province. Working virtually, you can work for anybody across Canada or even in the States. Well, there you are, Jennifer. We can see you now.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, you do get to apply anywhere. So it's just LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place. There's lots of positions that are offering on there.
I got a question. You said you can find potential employers on LinkedIn. How the heck do you do that? I don't know who to look for. I have no clue.
Oh, they have a job market on there. If you're looking for a job, when you're doing your LinkedIn, you can actually press a button and say, I am looking for work. And then the search engines will find you and will start sending jobs that are suitable to what your skill set is listed.
Yeah, I do get jobs, but none of them work for me.
So you might have to go in and change your language a bit in there, not in your LinkedIn itself, but in kind of in the back end of it where you fill out different things. There is some sort of algorithm that it goes for. I know for me, and it might go by your title as well, because I get a lot of jobs coming to me, which I'm not even looking for a job, but I don't mind seeing what's out there. And as well, with the network that you build, people send around jobs. Like anytime I see that somebody has a job posting, I share it or I like it so that all my network gets to see it as well. Being on LinkedIn is something you got to do every day. Marketing is something you do every day, whether you're looking for a job or you're looking for clients. You have to do it every day. And if you come from a particular background or a field that you want to work in on LinkedIn, then you got to start targeting those companies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do you find these companies that you're supposed to target?
Well, you search for them. So if you want to go into the automotive field, you're going to do a search for automotive companies. If you want to go into an engineering field, you're going to do a search for engineering companies.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you're gonna specifically target, and then you're gonna befriend them. just ask them, just say, I'm really interested in what you're putting out, and, send them a private message. I'd really like to be able to connect and stuff like that. Or you write them, you say, I'm just venturing out and I'm going to be looking for a job in this field. And I really thought connecting with different people would help me see, what's being posted out there in this field that I want to go into. So, you try to make it even about them, but letting them know a little bit about you. Everybody loves flattery, right? We learned that from Dale Carnegie. Everybody wants, if you creep them, right? You creep the pages and you see what they're posting. And then if they post something that resonates with you, or that you think you could find something for them, a great way to really get in there is to go find an article that you think would interest them that has something to do with things that they post. And then you send them a little private message and just say, I noticed that you posted a little bit about this and this, and I came across this article today and thought you might be interested. They're already seeing initiative. So they're going to say, wow, she's looking for a job in our field. Look at the initiative. And they might not have a job, but they might have a friend that works at, another place that they do the same thing. They're going to say, hey, this woman on LinkedIn, looking for a job in this field. Why don't you check out their profile, right? It's just as simple as that. And because LinkedIn, so many people, like I have people from all around the world on my LinkedIn. I have some clients in the States. I have people, when I worked in the wind turbine energy, I have people all around the world from that company. So you just don't know who is going to spot what you're doing and what you're sharing. And you should find stuff to share if you are looking for a particular field and you have information. Find information to share about that on your page, and use your hashtags to the CEOs, to the HR departments, to whoever it is that you want to get into. You want to make sure you hashtag everybody so that it shows up on their LinkedIn profile. Again, all the algorithms. You want to make sure your headings. I have this program on. So I can't remember quite the name of it right at this second, but I get to check all my headlines. I get 9 headlines a month, and I guess you get to do about 18 headlines per headline. Try them. And you don't do them until you've at least done 20 headlines yourself, because the reason the headline on anything, on your LinkedIn profile, on any thing you're going to submit or share online, you want to make sure that your heading is getting all the SEO stuff in it. So it's going to go to the people you want it to go to, and it's going to make them want to open it. And one of the things I learned, which I thought was really funny, was, and it's so true. You ever come across a headline like, wow, the mother has 2 heads. Well, I gotta look at that. 2 heads are better than 1, especially when you are talking about blah, blah, blah. And it goes on. It has nothing to do with the person having 2 heads. But what it did is it suckered a person into opening it up. And then when you started reading, it was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And you keep on reading, right? So you want to make sure you have that. And that's why they do that, is because the headline is what's going to get people to open it. And if you can't get people to open it, you can't get them to read it. So headlines and everything are very important. Even on a resume, you want to capture the person's attention. And you want to show, because if you're sending paper, or these days it's not even paper, it's electronic, and it's not even a person that's searching. So the other thing you need to do is, if you're applying to a request for proposal, or you're applying to an ad, whatever words that they use, you need to change your resume to make sure all those words are in it, because it's not people looking at your resumes anymore. It's going to the algorithm of a computer that's popping out to the people going, this resume matches what you're looking for. And the people get it. So
that's why I'm a stickler for terms, guys.
Yeah.
And spelling.
So it's all about the keywords.
It's all about the keywords and everything, no matter what you do. whether you're marketing yourself, company, doing a resume, everything is about your keywords, and it's all search engine optimization, whether it be their particular search engine that is searching for the, because some of these people might get 1,000 resumes. No person has a time to read 1,000 resumes. So they have to make sure that, and they want to get people who are like, hey, I'm right on to this. Oh, okay. You want this word? I'll put that word in there, and I'll put a cover letter too, right? They want people that will think outside of the box and be able to apply and show them. Because so that's the first step of showing if you're above average to get in or not, is using those keywords, terminology. So
Terminology, yeah.
And that attention to detail too, to making sure that they're in there and that you're using the right ones in the right places, so that way they actually make sense when you use them, and you're not just throwing them in there and the reader's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, you used a term, but it doesn't make sense, guys.
And a lot of times I would take their sentence, keep the keywords, and just change the other words around, or change the sentence around, but just keeping their keywords, but saying exactly what they say, just a different way, using the main words. And that's the only way you're going to get in, especially if you're applying for government. You'll never get in unless you have those keywords in there that are theirs.
It's true. Job searching has completely changed, especially with applying for jobs and everything. Like, gone are the days where you walk in with a paper resume, you fill out an application, and someone interviews you in person. Like, it's completely different now.
Yeah, it really is.
Nothing new.
The first steps are very different. What we learned, in my age group, to go do jobs doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, even for mine, like, they don't exist anymore. Even for me, like, I've gone and done the pounding the pavement in person, going out, not going home till I've gotten a job, and like, you can't do that anymore. It's all on the computer. I've gone when I was in journalism school, actually trying to get a part-time job in the summer. I went to go hand out resumes, and some places don't even take your paper resume anymore. They're like, no, online only. I was like, oh,
they don't even want you in their office.
Yes, it's true. I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bother you, apparently. Like,
well, and the other reason why people do that is that person, like, a lot of times people won't even put where it is that you're applying because they haven't let the person go yet.
yes.
They don't want the person to know that they're replacing them, right? So that happens a lot, actually, more than you think.
Question, do you have any suggestions for if, say, you apply for a position and you do the interview, you don't hear anything back, and the position is taken off of Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever, but then you see it reappear again? What's your suggestion for reapplying to the position?
I usually run the other way. Honestly, if I see that that's what's happening and it's being reposted and it happens a few times, it makes me wonder what is wrong with the organization. And it could be as simple as they don't know how to hire properly.
Yep.
But if they don't know how to hire properly, then that would scare me as to, well, if they don't know how to hire properly, what are the people going to be like that I'm going to be working with?
Exactly. Do you have any tips for kind of like how to turn the tables in like an interview or like a initial client meeting, just to kind of gauge if that company would be a good fit for you? Because I know it's really easy to get lost in like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, but you kind of forget for them to be like, hey, but we could do this for you.
Well, for me, I do my due diligence, whether it's going to be a client or when I was going to go work for people. I research them. I check out all the information I can. And then I try to think about, okay, what's not on there that I want to know, right? For me, what's more important for me is what is their office like? Like, how do they treat people? Is it a really stuffy place? Is it, people get to laugh a little bit and have a little bit of fun, which of course would attract me more than, like, I could never go back and work for lawyers. I just couldn't. It's not the right right type of place for me. Same with engineers. I worked at all these places that I had to stifle my personality. And I just, as I got older, I just couldn't hold it back anymore. It's like, this is me, right?
You had to be
I
yourself.
can't hide who I am anymore. It's been stifled enough. So I had to go and find different places. I loved working in the education and working at universities. I loved that because of all the young people, the energy, the learning. But I found middle management within that system stressed me out because they were not in that same frame of mind, only the students were, so it didn't work for me there because it was so bureaucratic. You got to talk to 15 people before you get one thing done. I'm a doer. I want to get my work done. I want to get it done efficiently and move on to what's next. I'm like a little machine that's like that. I just see what needs to be done. I like to stop, take a break, chit chat, but get right back to what I'm doing. So if I have to check with 10 people first, so that's one of the things, like if you're like me, that would be one of the questions I'd ask, how do things get approved? What's the chain of command and how does it work? Do you guys do any kind of fun things after work? For me, another thing is because I have worked a lot for nonprofits and I am a big believer in giving back to my community. I want to know how the companies are when it comes to allowing a half a day for me to go do volunteer work somewhere in the company on the company's behalf, or just different things. Like you've got to ask questions, you've got to go, and it can't be all about money. I mean, unless of course that's the only thing that motivates you. But I don't think everybody is only motivated about money. I think people want to make sure they are going into the right place. And it's the same thing when you're dealing with clients, when I'm interviewing a client, I am definitely interviewing them. It's kind of like, well, how quickly do you expect me to respond, right? If you're going to write me and expect that I'm going to respond in 5 minutes, that may work once in a while. But if I'm doing another client's work, I'm not going to check my emails or anything like that until I'm finished that and I've clocked off. I use Toggle. It's a free timer. And it's so easy because I input all my clients. I put all the different work I do for them. I even have me as a client when I'm doing my own office work or my own marketing work or anything. I time everything to see where I'm wasting my time, right? Am I spending 10 hours on marketing and it's not working for me? Well, I need to change the way I'm marketing, right? It's if I'm doing this and I don't have enough clients this month, well, what am I doing? And the same thing is you need to think about what you like to do, what are your strengths, and match them up to the job offer or match them up to the request for proposal. Or when you go networking, I like to go last. I like to listen to what everybody else says about themselves first. I like to listen and see what they're going to bring up that I can all of a sudden go, oh, and I do this and this and this. So one of my clients that I've had for 5 years now, I took a course with her. I remember that she did event management. She didn't stay in the course very long because her life was too crazy. So I never got the chance to give her my spiel within the class. But then I ended up joining the same networking group, and she was in there one day when I got up to speak. And I threw in that, oh, yes, and I've done a lot of event management. I don't do them myself. I prefer to work for others. And she was my client the next day. Right? Because she just zoomed in. And I saw her. When I said that, I saw her head flip up and look at that. So as soon as if you keep the key words and find out and join all these virtual assistant groups on Facebook, there is a ton of them. They're all free. People ask such amazing questions, ask for help. advertise themselves on there. Just say, you know, I'm new, I'm doing this. This is what I'm really good at. I'm looking to find a job, or I'm looking to find new clients, or I'm looking to subcontract for people.
I didn't know there were virtual assistants Facebook groups.
Oh my God, there's so many of them.
Oh.
So
There
many
are
of them.
loads. There's more than just ours out there, guys. Loads of them are out there.
Yeah, tons of them. And I mean, look me up on Facebook, Rosanna Pelton or ROSAPEL. And a lot of them I follow as well. And I'm pretty sure you can see who I'm following and you can connect into them, right? It's there's so many groups out there, and they're good because they, like I say, they ask questions that you probably have. Like, for example, you know, okay, I live in Halifax, but I'm going to do work for a client in BC. What tax do I charge them? I charge them BC tax. It's where I provide my services where I tax. If I'm working for clients in the States, they're paying me from the States. Like, I work for clients in the States, but my main person's in Canada. But if I was working for them in the States, then there's like this W-8 something form that you got to fill out because it's for our government to know what to tax you, right? And how much you're making.
Yeah, and that's why, and I made the decision to only work with Canadian companies just to avoid all that hassle of taxes and everything.
I don't think it's a hassle.
And exchange rate. You just stay in Canada. Make it easy.
If you have a good accountant, it's not a hassle. They do all the work.
Yes. See,
You
delegation.
just do the work. They do the accounting. But yeah, no, and working within Canada, the same thing. It's, you know, and some people, if you're working, like for me, it's actually kind of a bonus because I'm up earlier than every other province except for Newfoundland, right? So I've done a lot of work event management in Victoria, in Alberta. And it's great because that means I get to sleep in the morning, I work a bit later, or I get to take an afternoon nap. And stay up a little bit later, depending on when I start my day very early. I start on my first client at 5 a.m. And I have her schedule, and that works for me. It works for her. I'm against her.
What kind of stuff is it that you actually do for people?
I am an virtual office manager and executive assistant. So for my one major client, like I do a lot of hours with her. She is a coach, trainer, and provides other speakers. So every morning I write her and I go through all of her emails, her incoming, her sent. I refer back to my list of what's important and I say, this is your schedule today. If there's any Zoom links or Teams links, I add them right next to the schedule time. And then the important to-dos, you have a proposal and I put them in the order that of importance. You know, she has 3 different proposals to do. They could be due on different dates. She has to reply back. Oh, here, I saw that you have a draft started in a reply back. Remember to go back and finish that. So-and-so wrote, do you want me to respond to them? Do you want to respond to them? Any kind of questions? We have weekly meetings. I keep a list of all of her potential clients, what's happening, when it's due, what's the last correspondence we had with them. It's not on any type of program per se, other than just an Excel sheet or a Word sheet that I put tables into. So it's very easy for me to honey, I'm just on a thing. Okay, sorry. He just got home from work.
It's all right. Tell him we said happy anniversary.
Oh, they said happy anniversary to us, honey.
Way to
my
go.
anniversary today.
Way to go.
So, yeah, and I'm sorry, I just lost where I was. What was I saying?
Talking about spreadsheets and stuff like that to organize your clients.
Yeah, so I keep track of that, and anything she tells me to do, I go in there and say Rosanna to do, or if it's the client to do, I put her name, she's going to do this, and then that goes in her, you need to do this, right? When I send her daily emails, I check her sent emails to see if she's actually done it. If she hasn't done it, it stays on her list. If it's been a few days and we have our conversation, I then, I harass them. That's what they want from us. I politely harass them, but we're the one that, come on, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. We got to keep them organized because they're in the midst of craziness with this is happening, that's happening, it's all happening. We're the ones that are telling them, okay, this is where you're at. I keep track of, actually, I do all the invoices. I send them out. I keep track of when they come in. I have another spreadsheet that I did for that. She took on a summer employment, so I keep track of that, and I send him out his pay stubs. I did all his pay stubs. So any which way, and through doing her email management, I've gotten to know what's important to her, what's not important to her. And when I see her doing something, I won't say wrong, but wrong, right? Like we would do it properly. I actually reach out and I say, well, are you sure that's what you want to do? Because generally it would be done this way, and this is why. And then, she writes back, she goes, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Please, will you do it for me? Sure, I just got more work to do, right? And because, with Anne, I started off with her 5 years ago when she first started out. I created a few forms for her, didn't hear from her for a couple of years, and she got really busy. And now she doesn't even do any scheduling. She sends them all to me and says, oh no, if she schedules something, then I'd send her an email going, you can't do that. You have something scheduled there. And we try different things. I'll say, how is this working for you? I tried this a week ago and we've been doing it for a week. Do you like it? And sometimes she'll say, no, I think I would like it if it was done this way. Or, oh, I love that. Will you keep that up, right? Because I do minutes whenever I'm invited to a meeting, I never really know why I'm there. So I start automatically taking minutes, and then I let them know after I did minutes, do you want me to pretty them up and send them? Oh, yes. So then the next time they just expect I'm going to do the minutes, right? I'm giving myself a new job. So it's the same thing if you're going for a job, right? You have to let them know what you can do for them from your home virtually. Because some people still don't understand how much can be done on the computer. Some people are still afraid that their stuff could be out there somewhere and someone's going to steal, right? But things, there's a chance that someone can break into your house and steal stuff out of a filing cabinet or break into an office. There's always a chance that can happen, but depending on the security and how secure your system is, which was very important to me since I deal with client work, is having a secure system. Have I answered people's questions, or are there any others?
I just had one question. How do you convince employers you're good enough without years of experience? That's the biggest hurdle for me. Everybody wants years of experience before they'll even look at you.
Well, see, now that's the difference. You don't really necessarily have to put your years of experience. And don't forget, years of experience come from a lot of things. If you've done volunteer work, and you can take years of experience from a lot of different things. If you've raised a family and you have done grocery shopping and you have worked on a budget and you have assigned this and you have organized these events for that, that's all work related stuff, right? Those are organizing for two kids that are in different sports. You have to be an amazing organizer to make all that work. So organization. Right? Been doing it for 30 years, right? So it's pulling out your experience from different venues.
From life.
Right? It doesn't all have to come from a job.
Exactly. Even driving them to practice, travel itinerary practice. Yep. Having to arrange rides and carpools.
Yeah, like things, it's amazing what you can pull out of your everyday life.
Yeah.
That is an experience. And then it's just the way you word it.
Exactly. I was going to say another thing is it's all in how you word it and how you one of the things I like to do is sit down with the job description and kind of highlight their key terms that I feel really relate to me, so I know what to focus on in my cover letter and my resume for them.
And then, and even going a little step further is everything they're asking for, do a little list of, okay, they want this, I did that here, I did that here, oh, I did that even here. Have all that ready so that when you are doing your letter, you can interject things in there when you're
I
speaking.
feel overwhelmed looking at job ads. You want like a whole long list of everything to do. It seems so overwhelming. It seems like everybody has too much high expectations of people.
Well, and they do. They want the best of the best for the least amount of money.
Yes, they do. It is a struggle. That's why you have to remember what you're worth. And once you've got your set prices, don't lower them. Only go higher from there, because what you're offering, you have to understand your time is valuable, right?
Time is money. First lawyer I ever worked for. Time is money. Tell me that every day. Time is money.
Is that Jerry Maguire?
Well, I think the lawyer I worked for was older than Jerry Maguire. A long time ago.
A lot of us.
May I ask you, Jennifer, why you decided that you only want to be an employee as opposed to having your own business?
I thought it would be a lot less hassle to be an employee. Then I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of other stuff, and then you have to worry about coming up with contracts for people and worrying about taxes and worrying about this and worrying about everything else. Is just too stressful.
Oh, see, now I found it actually less stressful than working for other people, because if I'm dealing with a client, you ask them, what do you expect? Like, what are you looking for? What do you want, right? So you actually know with employers, it's not so much just what the employer want, it's what all the employees that you're going to be working with want as well. And there's just so many personalities to juggle. And then if you work on your own, you don't have that long list. You can decide that, hey, the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do posts for you on Pinterest. I am just a Pinterest person. And then you just go find all your clients that want the same thing, right? You never worry about the taxes and that. Again, that's what the accountant does.
Yeah, isn't it expensive to have an accountant though?
No.
Doesn't
Actually,
have
it's a lot
doesn't
cheaper
have
to
to be.
What's that, Judy?
I said it doesn't have to be. That's what I found with myself working on my own. Is I do my own accounting, but I like doing that, but I can do that, but it's not as bad as when you're looking at the overall picture, it gets overwhelming. And so when you look at one piece at a time, it's not as daunting. It's kind of like the old saying, it takes how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. But when you look at a lot of the stuff that employers want or stuff like that, there's so much that is written in their job description that is a lot of glorified ideas. Like they'd like to have that, but does that actually materialize to be that? It more and more, it just kind of fits. If you can fit the high spots in that, then you kind of flow into a lot of the rest, is what I've found is you pick it up. Like you may not know for sure, but you will pick it up as you're there, and your personalities will work or they won't work. But that I find that that's a work in progress. But going on my own made that kind of stuff easier, because I could chop it down into where it's bite sized for me and didn't have to prove something to somebody right there in front of me, kind of thing. So, and it's easier to do things in written, or whether it's email, whether it's whatever, than it is to sometimes speak face to face. So, so a lot of that I found less intimidating in going on my own, even whether I like it or not. I can, and somebody told me, it says, just say, yeah, okay, I do this and do that. And like I said, you go back to Google or you go back to wherever and you fill in the blanks that you didn't know for sure. And it just works easier for me to go on my own. And there weren't as many of the tax situation scared the crap out of me, and a few other things like that. Yeah. But you'd be surprised how much you can do on your own. There's so much information there to do that, like whether it is the taxes or whether it is your accounting. There's so much help online that you can teach yourself how to do it. It's not as daunting as it really sounds.
And when you get too busy, you hand it off because you want to be doing
then you
what
can,
you do.
yeah. And then some of it you can do yourself, and then what you do hand off isn't as it's not quite taking a big box of receipts and dumping it on their desk. I've had to deal with that, and it isn't pretty. So I don't do that to anyone.
Yep, been there, done that.
Yeah. So yeah, there are things that you can do. It does make it a little bit easier. It's not as daunting, Jennifer, as what it sounds. It might be a while to convince you, but it's surprising. But the amount of jobs that I see out there are unreal.
Yeah, and I think too, what people are doing now, because they don't know which way their positions will grow, they add everything under the sun in it. So that way, if they do decide they want to assign a new task to you, but it's in your contract.
Yes. Or that little line there that says, or other duties as required.
Maybe assigned from time to time. Yeah.
Yep. That's the big one.
Yeah. Always look for that pesky little line. I'm like, oh, no. I don't carry heavy things, guys. That's why I do office work. I'm not falling into that category. You're not going to catch me with that.
Yeah, but it's there.
Right?
And when you're looking for the jobs, look for the key things like, when they want you to be able to handle 5 different situations at the same time, multitask. Multitask is a priority. All that means is that they're going to be just throwing work at you and want it all done at the same time. Right? So you gotta learn to read what they're asking and say, do I really want to work in an environment where I'm probably not going to have any time to myself? The one thing as a virtual assistant, there's a myth saying you really get to pick your hours. Well, you don't. You got to work with your client. You've got deadlines that you got to get done. But the thing is, I don't have to. Like if I sleep in one day, my client doesn't get mad at me and say, oh, you didn't get that to me by 6 a.m. You weren't there on time, right? It's kind of like, oh, I hope you had a good sleep, and you're always earlier than me, right? So they're so appreciative that I am doing it at that time of the morning, that if I do sleep in one day, it's a very different feeling when you're working with entrepreneurs, because they're like you. They are people just trying to get it going from home. So they don't need to take out things on you. I found working in an office was people were tearing you down because they got to be better than you. But whereas you're an entrepreneur, everybody is giving each other a hand up, because we all kind of make the world go round. And the one thing about virtual assistants is we are never each other's competition. We are each other's resources, right? Being administrative assistants, we understand the value of a team. We understand the value of helping each other. So it's kind of like, oh, here, somebody offered me this, but it's not really stuff I like doing. But hey, I know a virtual assistant that would be way better at this. And I've done that. I've passed stuff on to another virtual assistant because it just wasn't what I wanted to do, and they remember that. And if something comes their way that they don't want to do, but it's your thing, they're going to pass it on to you.
It's so true. I've had that happen so many times to me. I'm like, actually, I'm not really interested in that, but I do know someone who is. That's their area that they specialize in. I can connect you. Yeah.
I like that.
And like Rosanna said, it works out well for you in the end too, because it also adds to your networking. So that way, when other people go to talk about you, they're like, oh no, they're always putting all their coworkers and stuff up for different offers. Like, that's why they're always getting different job offers, because they're always forwarding it to other people. So it's like karma, right? What you put out, you're going to get back.
Isn't that tenfold is what they say?
Right?
Oh, yes.
Right on. Yeah, I agree.
And I think that can also apply on LinkedIn. The information
I'm on LinkedIn, so it does that. Yeah.
Will get you seen. You want to share things to your market, whether you're looking for a job or you're looking for a client.
Yeah.
You want to be seen.
Exactly. And you want to be seen as someone who knows what's going on in the industry, who's actually informed, not just someone who's sharing the post that somebody else shared. You want to make sure there's thought behind it.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Jennifer, you asked, how do you, if you don't have the experience, how do you make them think it? Confidence. You have to go in and own it. People
Easy to say.
Right. Well, but you got to practice. You practice in front of a mirror. You do. It's. I went to this course where they actually videotape you, and they do a mock interview, like a real interview. But you show them the position you're applying for. You go dressed up in a suit, and they videotape you. Oh my goodness! I highly recommend, even when you're practicing, to videotape yourself. Get someone to ask you questions. Because I had no idea that when I was in interviews, I would lean in like this. I kind of looked like an idiot, but I always got the job. They say leaning in shows interest, but boy, was I ever interested. I always make sure I push myself back now, and when I feel myself going forward, I just adjust and put the shoulders back. So, but it's all about practicing. Practice in front of a mirror, practice to people. The more practice, the more confident you are, because then it just comes out natural. And it's the same thing like when you're going to network for yourself, your 30-second, elevator speech. Oh, you got to practice that, and practice that. I'm part of the Business Networking International group, and every Wednesday I've got to do my elevator pitch. And sometimes, I try to wing it and just change it up. Never works. Never works like it does in my head. I have to practice.
Yeah, and another good thing too is you can create samples of things to showcase your skill set. Because one of the things I used to do, for example, is make like a bare bones social media plan. So that way employers could see what kind of plans that I was able to put together for them. It's like, well, this is the basic one that comes with the basic package. You know what I mean? So they have an idea of what you can do. It's like, yeah, you've told me all of this, but here's some hardcore proof that backs it up.
And any feedback you've received, whether it be from past employers, from people that you just did a favor for and they send you, really appreciate it, write those up on your LinkedIn and just say, so happy to have received this, or, looking at this, what a good memory it was. I really enjoyed doing such and such and such for that person, and look at how they appreciated it. That's word of mouth. That's, people have written that, you're putting up there. Other people are going, oh, that's what was said about them. I want to get to know them. Right?
Yeah.
It's all about fake it till you make it. Isn't that what they say?
Yes, I was going to say networking positive and faking it till you make it. You're like, oh no, I can do this. And honestly, the pep talk is great. I like to do it in the bathroom mirror. I'm like, you got this, girl. You are great.
I went to a conference about this woman, and it was, there'd be like a lot of different women on the stages. And one of them said that, and I'm going to stand up for this. I do have a stand-up desk here. I sit down once in a while and stand up. But before you go into an interview, find a nice private place and do the power pose.
Yes.
You stand like that for a few minutes, or like this. And she said, these are power poses. And when you do those for a couple of minutes, they actually change the way your brain works. and they give you confidence. They bring power to you. And I think it works. I've tried it out a couple of times, and I get nervous myself. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, you still get nervous around people, and you don't want to sound like a blowhard and say, well, I'm good at this and this and this, but that's kind of what people want, right? So you gotta feel confident in blowing your own horn.
Yeah,
it's true. Well, we're getting to almost 10 after 2 here. Do you guys have any last questions for Rosanna before we let her go enjoy her anniversary?
not really. You've done a lot. I've enjoyed talking to you and listening, and all of the stuff that you do put forward. It is encouraging, and I am going to go for the Facebook thing. I'm already the LinkedIn, but the Facebook thing makes me interested as well. So, yeah. Well, I appreciate what you put through.
LinkedIn and Facebook, it's Rosanna Pelton, ROSANNA, Pelton, P as in Paul, ELTON. And my company is ROSAPEL, ROSAPEL. And my email is info@rosapel.com. Any questions, reach out, messenger, whatever. I'm here. We're all here for each other.
That's
right.
awesome.
If you guys need a reminder about the contact info, just reach out. I can email it over to you.
That's perfect.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot.
No, thank you guys. Good luck.
Yes, thank you so much, Rosanna, again for taking the time. It's always a pleasure.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. I really enjoy it. Thank you guys so much.